You are down with anarchy. Hi, I'm coming at you like some kind of satanic Wonder Woman out of hell for no good reason. Actually, it was supposed to be an homage of sorts to tonight's feature, the most magical of maidens, here on Maidens and Magick. It would be criminal if I didn't feature this person for a few obvious reasons. Also, I'm excited because I'm a little bit now into the groove of it with the mechanics, the logistics of bringing this to you. And I think also tonight's episode might be a little bit easier than last week when I covered the hunger, because let's be fucking honest, it was like a series of disappointments and people that I'd once respected just who had just kind of gone in direction. They'd made choices and they'd made some choices, you know. So yeah, I'm not here to judge. What I am here to do is to introduce you to tonight's very special guest feature. That's right. It's Stevie fucking Nicks. So also known as the White Witch. Watch her twirl. What a twirling delight. Lady, work that twirl. Work that whole shaw, the whole thing. Speaking of which, I'm going to let that play in the background while we enjoy this. Picture from Vanity Fair. I'm not sure what year this is. We could look later. Just such classic fucking Stevie. Witchy as fuck. Excuse me. Turn this down a little bit. It's really hard to equalize the sound on these. Oh, the boots. I think we sold those at Metro, those exact boots right there. All right. This best part of this Vanity Fair, well, not the best part of it, there's so many things about it to love. The pose, the passion, the drama. I wish I could see what symbol that was on her necklace. The hat, come on. But the title, Stevie Nicks has a bolt dedicated to her shawls. Of course she does. How could she not? So here we go. I'm going to turn me off for a minute. All right. It's really hard to talk about Stevie Nicks. In fact, I would say it's impossible to talk about Stevie Nicks without talking a little bit about Lindsey Buckingham and, of course, Fleetwood Mac. So before we really get into Stevie, here she is again, looking fabulous. Let's talk a little bit about, of course, Fleetwood Mac. It might be where you know her from. She was with Fleetwood Mac, I think. So Fleetwood Mac actually started, and I'm not doing a deep dive here, guys, because again, subject tonight is Stevie. She's fucking earned it. Not that they haven't, but, sticking with the theme of Maidens and Magick, they formed back in 67, which was earlier than I thought. There were a lot of iterations and changes and kind of like this whole transitional area. I don't know, a little bit of drama in the band, maybe, not sure. And then finally, it wasn't until 75 that it says they have the addition of Buckingham. That's Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Who's this Lindsey Buckingham? You might wonder for some reason if you've been living under a rock. I don't know. Lindsey Buckingham, let me just say this. This is Lindsey Buckingham. Here we have some different photos. Here's a very young Lindsey and Stevie. Very young. So he was her boyfriend. And from 73 to 74, they had a Buckingham Nicks, which kind of sounds like Buckingham Palace. It's a very royal 4-truck kind of thing, demos here in 72. I don't know how well received or popular or known even they were. What I do know is that in 75, when Bob Welch left Fleetwood Mac, Lindsey Buckingham got a call to join, and he was like, look, I'll do it, but I'm not going anywhere without Milady, which is, I think honorable. And it did forever change Fleetwood Mac. From that point on, it was a whole they left, and then they came back, and then Christine McVie left, and then she came back, and it's just been on and off, on and off. I don't know all the drama. If you want to read about it, the Wikipedia page looks pretty fucking thorough. There you go. So, of course, one of Fleetwood Mac's favorite songs, which was sung by Stevie Nicks, was Rhiannon. But Rhiannon, where does it come from, you might ask? Well, I know I did. I didn't know a whole lot about it other than to that it was, in fact, of course, I suspected that Rhiannon had something to do that it was derived from a Celtic or Irish folklore, bit of folklore. Welsh actually makes perfect sense, since in one of the recordings of them performing, Fleetwood Mac performing Rhiannon live, she says before the song, this is a song about an old Welsh witch. So there you go. But wait, and I thought, gosh, that seems kind of sophisticated, because she looked so young to me when, she started Fleetwood Mac, like really so young. And I thought, well, okay, hold on. Actually, how old is she? How old was she when she joined Fleetwood Mac? And just to kind of make it contextual and get her life into linear perspective. Come on. You didn't think I was going to do that? You didn't think I was going to go back and talk a little bit about her life? All right. Oh, ye of little faith. At any rate, she was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Here's the thing. On May 26, 48, she seems to have had a pretty uneventful childhood. But let's point out some highlights while we're here. I mean, she was named one of the 100 greatest songwriters of all time by Rolling Stone. She is the only woman to have been inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Fleetwood Mac, and also as a solo artist. She's garnered 8 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, nominations on the last 2. But she's fucking legendary. What can I say? It seems like she got started pretty early. She got a Goya. I don't know what kind of guitar this is here. Let's see. Maybe we can look at it. No picture. Anyway, on her 16th birthday, and wrote her first song, and seems to have shortly thereafter run into Lindsey Buckingham, who was into psychedelic rock at the time. And a match was made, and history was made. I mean, but so this means she would have been 26 or 27 when she wrote Rhiannon, which is old enough to have read a good number of books, I think. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. But let's get back to that story of Rhiannon for just a minute. So just want to say, for the record, we're about to get into some Welsh. Welsh is difficult. It is not intuitive. The pronunciation really eludes me. I did my best to try to look up a couple of things. But mostly, just to let you know, just to be totally fair, I am going to butcher it. All right, with that said, I'm going to continue on. Costume change. What happened? Mysterious, I know. So we were at the story of Rhiannon and the Celtic or Welsh myth that came from. I'm just going to let you groove on that for a minute. So the song is getting ready to get really epic with Lindsay fucking Buckingham shredding on the guitar. I'm actually going to tune this out a little bit here. It is a joy to watch, but if we want to get through the story of Rhiannon, we're going to have to go here. Back to the tab that says Rhiannon. One moment, please. I feel like you probably don't need to see me during all of this. I don't know. I will say before I turn my screen off that I read this whole page about the Mabinogi, and it goes into the first branch, second branch, third branch, and it is just circuitous and confusing, and there's a lot of fuckery and magic and tomfoolery and trickery, and I was going to try to provide a better synopsis, but I think the best one we can go with is actually just right here. It's a Welsh story collection. She appears there. She's supposed to be marrying this other person, her other consort, but she wants to marry, I'm going to guess this is Pwyll, Prince of David. And anyway, shit happens. She becomes the queen. She can't produce an heir for a few years, but he doesn't give up on her. Still, I think the more interesting part of the story is while her maids are watching her son, she finally bequeaths him a son. Her maids are watching the son, and he's stolen or something. It's not really clear. He goes a missing, and so they kill a puppy and smear her with blood, smear Rhiannon with blood to try to make it look like she cannibalized her own son. And so somehow this works. I don't know, yada, yada. It is one of those great long pieces of mythology. It's kind of like the Iliad or the Odyssey or something with like, bless you if you can read that one. It might actually be a very interesting read, but reading the synopsis of it brought me no real joy, I have to say. Sorry, not sorry about it. So going here again, the other world, there's actually some merit here in this. It is one of the descriptions generically put realm of the dead, but I like this description here. Spirits are thought to travel between worlds or layers of existence in such traditions, usually along an axis, such as a giant tree, maybe the tree of life, a tent pole, I don't know, a river, perhaps the river Styx, a rope, or mountains. That could be anything Tibetan, I don't know. Yeah, and it kind of spans a little expanse of like through Persia, which is actually tied into Zoroastrianism. So that's a nice historical little, gives it a bit of credence. Then the course, the Celtic, probably the most popular among these, the one you maybe have heard of before is Valhalla, the Germanic interpretation of Odin's Hall of Valhalla. Yeah, that's it. So also Slavic and Greek, whoopsie, where it's also actually correlated to Mount Olympus, and I've been there, interestingly. No brag, no brag. Okay, so I thought that was a cool little tie-in. The second one, a little bit less, I don't know if it's quite, well, it is actually interesting. There is some dispute over it among historians of paganism, but it could be that Rhiannon was related to the Gaulish horse god Epona. I don't know if it's Epona or Epona. Epona. Let's say Epona. I'm not sure. And it turns out, see, the timeline on this one is not very clear. I'm not really too sure. It's also, I like that it's also related to The Legend of Zelda. Not a game that I play because I don't really play video games, but cute anyway. It does say that their earliest, oops, did not mean to highlight that, the earliest attestations of a cult of Epona Epona in the Danubian provinces was a new one for me. Of course, I can imagine what that means, but I'd never heard that put together before. Anywho, so it seems like, I mean, she did make the circuit as a pretty significant goddess, significant enough to have her own cult, which that's all any of us really want at the end of the day, anyway, right? Uh, but yeah, so the influences, I mean, it was as far reaching as Latin, Greek, the Celts, the Germans, the Romans, other inhabitants of the Roman Empire, as far as Germany. So, yeah, some kind of a credence there. At any rate, the story of Rhiannon, of in and of herself, um, nothing in this actual story suggests that she's much more than a queen, except for this first story about her. I guess she's always riding astride this, beautiful horse, and even though the horse, I think this is a nice allegory, even though her horse is never more than an amble, they can never catch up to her. They chase and they chase and they chase, but they just can't catch up to her. Take from that what you will. I'm still kind of mulling it over. I'm sure it means it's going to strike a deeper chord with me eventually, I'm sure. All right. So basically, that's Rhiannon in a nutshell. Let's go back to Stevie Nicks and let's talk a minute about why she was considered the White Witch. Well, probably it had some stuff to do with fashion. I am sure it had plenty to do with her fashion. She did have this very witchy gypsy kind of thing going on. This picture here pretty much, exemplifies that here. And you can see, I mean, it goes on and on. There are just plenty of flowing scarves and shawls and lacy lingerie type things, and altogether I can see it. It is rather witchy, especially when you get into Stevie Nicks in the 80s. Some beautiful things happen. Some real beautiful things happen. I'm a huge fan of so much of this. But yeah, it definitely has kind of a witchy vibe. Over the years, I guess she, cultivated it as a style, but denied that she practiced witchcraft. But what are you going to say in the 80s? That wasn't a thing. That we were in the middle of a fucking satanic panic. You can't come out being a practicing pagan, even, was just too much. We're talking about things like the West Memphis 3 happening, just fuck. Damien Eccles would understand. Yeah, but it was hugely taboo. It seems like over the years, though, although she had eschewed said rumors, seems like over the years she definitely kind of embraced it or just finally gave into it. In fact, what I'm talking about specifically, and now moving us up into popular culture, or as the kids say, pop culture. And I'm talking about the magical delights of Stevie Nicks. She was a big feature, a huge treat in American Horror Story Season 3, Coven. Coven was contested. Some people loved it, some people hated it. Look, with the inclusion of Marie Laveau, I thought the whole aesthetic of them being in New Orleans, the costuming, it was just fucking gorgeous. There were some parts of it that were really rough to watch in the beginning. I'm not going to lie, that rape, the whole gang rape thing in the beginning was just, I think Emma Roberts is actually really good at what she does. That aside, there's a whole build up to Stevie Nicks coming in, and she doesn't show up in, I think it's like the last couple of episodes, and she shows up to, and there's this whole kind of implication that her and Jessica Lange were once the same level, that either one of them could have been the supreme, but maybe Stevie Nicks turns to white magic, and Jessica Lange, well, we know she embraces some darker arts. We're not judging, Jessica. You're hot as fuck in this. And I'm actually just right now, just in case you don't know, Fiona from American Horror Story. Sorry, doing this on the fly. She is just exquisite. I love her in this so much. I couldn't get enough of it. I just couldn't get enough of it. Fucking Jessica Lange. Okay, back to what we were saying in this episode. There's some buildup. She comes in the end to kind of breathe inspiration into one of the characters who is one of my all-time fucking favorite characters and one of my all-time favorite actresses in American Horror Story. She's been in most of the seasons, smaller parts usually, in the later episode or series, or seasons rather, sorry. Talking, of course, about Misty Day. I have the biggest crush on Misty Day. I can't even tell you, and I have to say, I just fucking love her. I love everything about her. Oh my fucking God. I just couldn't get enough of her. And partly it's because of the whole Stevie, she's obsessed with Stevie Nicks. She's always listening to her music. The whole, I'm just such a sucker for this look. It got every time I'm gagged. But I gotta say, Lily, I'm gonna go with Lily Robb. It's Rabe, like broccoli Rob. I'm guessing maybe. I don't. That's really a guess, but she is so amazing, and I think really criminally underrated in the series. I have to fucking say, in the first few, and Asylum, she is Sister Eunice. No, what is her name? Yeah, here she is. I thought she was so amazing. Sorry, I should have had all these pulled up before. Her transformation from the very, very good pennant nun to this saucy, possessed enchantress. I thought she was here where she's singing this, You Don't Own Me. It's so good. It's so good. I just think she's an amazing actress, and I love her a lot. Okay, but yeah, so Stevie Nicks shows up and plays a song on the piano and gives Misty Day a shawl. It's a very touching moment, and that is really it. I mean, Stevie Nicks, I don't know what to say. You know, there's no real verified practice that I can say, here's, you know, her form of paganism and tell you about. And the Rhiannon story is maybe not as rich as one might have hoped, but altogether just such a gorgeous, incredible, very witchy, very talented, recognized, beloved, iconic fucking superstar. I love Stevie Nicks. I just fucking adore her. I'm going to give a final recommendation here. A final little thing apropos to, well, Stevie Nicks. This movie is so fucking cute. It is hard to find. I don't even know where you can stream it anymore, but Gypsy 83, if you've never seen it, can we please just read the summary here quickly? Two young misfits head for New York City to celebrate their idol and muse, Stevie Nicks, at the Night of 1,000 Stevies. Along the road, in order for them to escape their painful past, they must discover their strength and learn self-acceptance. Yeah, it's a cheesy coming-of-age story, but it's one that we can relate to. It's this girl, she's a misfit, and her gay goth bestie, and they just have the most adorable relationship. And it's a super, super cute movie. So I would recommend it. And let's say I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope you enjoyed this voyage that we went on, discussing the beautiful Stevie Nicks. I will make a short announcement. I haven't decided what or who I'm going to do next, but I promise you it will involve a maiden and magic. It will be fucking magical. Stay with you guys. You've been down with anarchy.